Mercersburg because my son was a competitive swimmer and he was starting to get really tall and we thought he was hiding out of the sport. So we went looking for a school that had a really competitive dive team. And we came to visit Mercersburg. We also went to an alum's house in DC. And Connor didn't end up coming to Mercersburg, but one of my twins did. Almost both of them came. And Bershadsky likes to say that the other twin is the one that got away because she ended up not coming to Mercersburg. She went to Madeira. But Maddie graduated in 2017, and this year she's graduating from the Naval Academy. I encourage you guys to listen to her talk later on the schedule. I'm not sure when she's going to talk, but she's going to talk about being in the military, going from Mercersburg to the Naval Academy. So with that, I'm Irving, so by virtue of Maddie. So I don't know who's Irving, and that's all that really matters, right? Have we won declamation recently? We have.
I tried. I did what I could. I couldn't do it, but I tried.
Oh, maybe that's where I remember your name from. So when Maddie was at Mercersburg, she loved softball. She loved basketball. She and her friends tried to do mugwump every day, literally. Do you guys still do mugwump? I don't know why they liked doing it, but they did. It was weird. I think because they could sit wherever they wanted. She liked taking mission trips to third world countries. She did that a couple of times. She was involved in Latin. She really liked Latin, math, and she got involved in climbing at the Red Barn. These are all things that really Maddie had never done her entire life. She went from one environment here in the suburbs to a totally different environment and learned how to adapt. So how did I get to an HBCU? I'm going to tell you guys about that. Before we get started, I wanted to do a little poll. And I wanted to ask you guys if you know what HBCU stands for. I want to see who knows what HBCU stands for. So we're going to do a little poll. I got my tech people helping me. So let's be patient while the poll comes up. Danielle, it might not work.
All right, that one's not working, Melanie. The next one is though.
All right, well, I tell you what, who just wants to unmute and tell me what HBCU stands for?
Oh, I can. Historically Black College University.
That's right, Historically Black Colleges and University. That term didn't really exist years ago when my mom and dad first went to an HBCU. It's become a term that's more common practice now. One of the reasons that term didn't exist when my parents went to college is because for the most part, it was their only option. That was like the only place that they could go to college. There were actually a lot of state universities and a lot of private universities that simply did not admit Blacks. They did not admit Hispanics. They did not admit anyone who just was in a minority group. There were a lot of male institutions that didn't admit women. There were a lot of Jewish people who could not go to mainstream universities. One of the reasons that HBCUs were started is to give students an opportunity to go to college when the law or when private policies prevented them from going. So I know you guys probably can think of one or two HBCUs. Danielle, let's pull up the next poll. I have a couple of them. So how many HBCUs do you think there are in the United States? How many do you think there are? And I think you can vote on your screen. So is it 11, 56, 101, or 156? I think I get to vote too. All right. I don't know how all this technology works, but Danielle does. All right, so it looks like most people said 56. Actually, there are about 50 private HBCUs. There are about 51 public HBCUs. There are over 100, and they're in 19 states in the United States. Wondering if anybody can name an HBCU. Maybe in your chat, you can name an HBCU if you know one. And there are actually 2 in Pennsylvania that were among the first HBCUs in the country. One is Lincoln and one is Cheney State. Those were among the first 2. We got Howard. That's the popular one, isn't it? Hampton. I can't see all the chats. North Carolina Central, that's a great one. They actually have a graduate school. Grambling down in Louisiana, awesome. Well, this woman went to Howard. I'm sure you guys know who she is. Kamala Harris. She went to Howard University. This woman, I'm sure you know who she is. Stacey Abrams. She went to my undergraduate school, Spelman College. While she was there, she decided to run for, I think it was Georgia State Legislature, and became one of the youngest legislators to be elected in Georgia. And now, as we know, she was just nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, which is amazing because of the work that she did supporting the election. I imagine she's going to be governor of Atlanta one day. Who knows this guy? May he rest in peace. He went to Howard, and I can probably name 20 different entertainers that went to Howard. Debbie Allen, P. Diddy. There's so many. Spelman and Morehouse, we have Alice Walker, the poet. Martin Luther King went to Morehouse, which is our brother school. But what about this lady? Who knows who she is? Anybody know who she is? You can unmute yourself. Anybody?
I'm actually old enough to know who that is.
Yeah.
Is that Krista McAuliffe?
It's Krista McAuliffe. Do you guys know who Krista McAuliffe is? Anybody? I pulled her name because there was just the anniversary of the space shuttle explosion. Krista McAuliffe was the very first educator, really the first civilian to go into space on the spaceship Challenger, I think is what it was called. And that's the one that exploded, I believe it was in 1986. She actually went to an HBCU. She is not Black. Krista McAuliffe is not Black. She went to an HBCU. She went to Bowie State. And I think someone put Bowie State in the chat. So what am I trying to say about HBCUs? I went to high school in Baltimore, Maryland, and I was literally at the top of my class, and I literally could have gone anywhere that I wanted. I decided I wanted to go to an all-girls school. So my choices were Wellesley, Radcliffe, Bryn Mawr, and because my mom and my sister had gone to Spelman and all my aunties, I decided to apply. But I said to myself, why would I ever go to a school with only Black people? Like, why would I ever do that? That's what I said in high school. And I got accepted to all the schools, and I got the most money from Spelman. I got a complete full ride. I went to visit, and I never looked back. All the misconceptions I had about Spelman were wrong. First of all, I said it's in the South. I don't want to go to school in the South. I grew up on the East Coast, and it's going to be really too lackadaisical, and they're not going to be aggressive. It was cheaper than the other schools. It was way cheaper than Wellesley. I think Wellesley was like $10,000 a year. Spelman was like $4,000. And I said, I'm not going to get a quality education. If it's cheaper, it must not be better. This is the 17, 18-year-old me. I said, I don't want to go because I don't want to have an all Black experience. I didn't have an all Black experience in high school. Well, first of all, I had so many classmates who were biracial, and they didn't consider themselves just living in one type of environment. My roommate, Stephanie McIver, was from New Mexico. I'd never met anybody from New Mexico. Her parents were military and they were doctors, nothing like my family. My parents were teachers. I'd never been to New Mexico, and I certainly wasn't in the military. Across the hall was Sarah Manley, who was the Prime Minister of Jamaica's daughter. She came to Spelman. She lived across the hall from me. And then there was Andrea Chittard, who was 14, and she was actually a child prodigy. She was from Washington State, and she was a foster child. She had grown up in a foster home. And so I realized right away that even though I was in a predominantly Black environment, I wasn't like any of those other people. We all had incredibly different experiences. We all came from incredibly different places. And I will tell you to this day, I can eat hot foods because of Stephanie McIver from New Mexico. I couldn't eat hot foods before I got there, but she taught me the art of eating a hot pepper, a poblano or something, and not burning my mouth. One of the other reasons that I thought I didn't want to go to Spelman was, I said, I want to go to law school and I want to go to an Ivy League school. And that's what I want to do. I told you, I was aggressive. I was at the top of my class when I graduated from high school. My sister and I were frequently one of only one or two Blacks that were in our school. We grew up in the suburbs. We grew up near college towns. Both of my parents were educators. That's just where we grew up. And I said, I really don't want to be in an environment where, I'm not going to get the kind of education that will let me do what I want to do. I want to go to law school and I want to go to an Ivy League school. And then I started looking at the statistics and I started thinking about the lawyers who I knew or who I'd heard of, who were famous. And believe it or not, most of them went to HBCUs. They went to Howard Law. Or if they didn't go to Howard Law, they maybe had gone to an HBCU undergrad and then went to the school of their choice for law school. One of my aunts graduated from Harvard. Well, she had gone to Spelman undergrad. All of a sudden, it dawned on me that I came to Spelman for the right reasons. I evaluated all the wrong reasons, but I actually chose Spelman for the right reasons. I chose it kind of for the same reason that I bet a lot of you chose Mercersburg: the tradition, the community, the value system. Those are the three things that really brought me to Spelman. My mom talked about when she was at Spelman wearing a white dress to convocation, to open up school, and how her aunt had given her this strand of pearls. And so every girl wore a white dress and a strand of pearls. Sound familiar? Sound like Mercersburg's graduation a little bit there? Sound a little bit familiar? Every Tuesday we went to convocation. And in my first year alone, Oprah Winfrey, Toni Morrison, Shirley Chisholm taught at the school, John Lewis, name somebody. They would come through Spelman. They would come through Morehouse to give us a little bit of what got them to where they were. The professors were all PhDs. They had all gone to great places and decided to come back and dedicate themselves to students who chose that environment specifically. The community, all of my bridesmaids, I still talk to them today. I graduated 4 years ago, a long time ago, and I'm still best friends with them. And they're still my kids' aunts and uncles and aunties and uncles. And they know what my kids are doing today, and I know what their kids are doing. And we forged those relationships at Spelman, just like you guys are forging relationships with people at Mercersburg, because it fosters that kind of community. It gets you to live together and to eat together and to pass the string beans and to pass the chicken. You guys only have chicken when parents don't come. When parents come, we have better food. You guys know that, right? You know, if you invite your parents, you have better food. But that was one. Those are some of the reasons that I chose Spelman. One other really important, actually two other important things: legacy. I told you my mom went to Spelman. My dad went to Morehouse. My dad actually lived in the home of the president. The president's name is Benjamin Mays. I challenge you to go look him up. One of the foremost Black educators in the world, Benjamin Mays. My father was what was called a Mays boy. He couldn't afford to go to college. So he was sent by his church, And in exchange, he lived in the president's home, and he was one of the ambassadors for the universe, for the college. So whenever famous people would come to Morehouse, my father would go to the airport or the train station and pick them up. There were 5 Mays Boys every year. When Martin Luther King came to dinner, when Mahatma Gandhi came to dinner, when all the leaders of the world, Kennedy, whoever it was, when they came to Morehouse to dinner, my dad was able to be there and witness it and be a part of it. And he talked about that. My mom talked about being roommates with Alice Walker. My mom and Alice Walker lived in Chadwick Hall her freshman year. My mom and Alice Walker lived in Chadwick Hall her freshman year. Like, oh my gosh, can you believe it? Now, Alice Walker didn't stay. She went to Sarah Lawrence because I don't think she liked the South. And some of those same misconceptions that I had, is this an inferior education? Do I really want to be around all Blacks? Is this going to impact my ability to do what I want to do by being in this environment? Those are some of the things that Alice Walker has said made her leave Spelman. But I went there because of the legacy. I went there because I knew people there. It's no different than Jewish students who choose to go to a Jewish college. It's no different than being an Asian American, but going to Asia to go to school, to get a taste of a part of you, a part of where you come from. It's no different from Mormon students going to Utah and spending time there. You're not giving up anything that you already had. You're just going to experience more of where you come from. And that's kind of why I went. Now, I know the non-Black students are like, why should I go to an HBCU? Maybe you won't go undergrad. I will grant you, most of the undergrads have a very small non-Black population. Most of them do. Not the state schools like Bowie, Howard, they tend to have a lot of non-Black students, but it's the graduate schools that are competitive. Morehouse School of Medicine, Howard University School of Pharmacy, some of the communication schools at Howard. They will welcome you and you will add to the richness and the diversity of the school. I don't know where you guys are going to choose to go to college. I hope you choose a college because of some of the same reasons that I chose a college: legacy, tradition, excellence, opportunity, community. I mean, I hope those are some of the things that you think about when you choose a school. And I hope you'll think about maybe not going to an HBCU, but I don't know, maybe doing a semester at an HBCU. I did a semester abroad in France when I was at Spelman. I'm not French, but I went there to learn about it and it was welcoming. And I did learn about it and I got immersed in the culture. So that's really kind of what I wanted to talk with you guys about. I don't know if you have questions for me. I can really talk with you about anything. Mike will tell you that I can. But I'd love to hear from each of you. I think it's a small enough group and we probably have time for me to hear from each of you guys about, I don't know, what are your plans for college, or what do you think about what I just said? What questions or thoughts do you have? Anyone?
Yeah, go ahead, Maddie. Jump right in.
Hi, my name is Maddie Norris. I'm actually this year's Irving president. So when you said that, that made me really happy. And so I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you so much for coming and talking. Really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your story. But also, I know right now I'm currently in my entire college process pretty much. So I've been working a lot on like writing the essays, finding schools and all that stuff. So thinking now of like looking at a demographic like that, because I know I've grown up in a majority white town and stuff like that. And I never thought about kind of expanding into that type of different school where it's something completely out of my comfort zone, which was something I'd say like something that's would not be used to. But would you have any advice to the schools I've already applied to, how I'd be able to find communities like that, if you know anything of like that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Where are you looking geographically?
I'm mainly on the East Coast still. I'm going a little like Virginia down, so those areas.
Okay, so kind of Southern, not East Coast up, East Coast down. You know, I think the one thing, and this is really tough for you guys, you don't get to visit. You don't get to visit and be there and smell the air and walk through the dorms. And one of my twins used to say, I don't see my people here. I took her to Smith College and she's like, my people aren't here. And she could just feel that it wasn't the right place for her. A part of it is the feeling you get when you're there. It's that emotional thing that happens when you step on campus. You'll have to make that translate into that emotional feeling when you Zoom with some of the students. You know, look at some of the organizations that they have and figure out the membership and call the president and say, hey, what kinds of activities do you guys do? And see if that's the kind of thing that you think you'd want to be a part of. Do you want sororities? You know, are you the type of person that wants to be in a group like that? Or do you want to know that the students are very into academics? And so most of the clubs are academic clubs. Look for your tribe there. Look for your people there. And again, it's a little impossible for you guys to be able to do that. But I will tell you right now, someone from Mercersburg went to one of those schools. They did. And you can get on, you know, whatever it is. Oh, I might be getting on Clubhouse. Do you guys know Clubhouse? I got an invitation to join Clubhouse. Do you guys know Clubhouse? Oh, that must be an adult thing like Facebook. Oh, well, okay. Well, anyway. I'm not on TikTok or Snapchat. My kids won't let me do that. But there's this new internet thing called Clubhouse where I guess it's just for grown-ups because nobody really reacted. But anyway, I think what you have to do is you have to get on social media and really figure out, is this my tribe? Is this my group? But I'll tell you, other things are going to come into play in terms of where you can go. Remember, I was headed to Wellesley, and but for the money, I would not have gone to Spelman. I would have found my tribe at Wellesley, just like I found it at Spelman, but I had to choose. And so that's the other factor, Maddie, that you have to really think hard about. You know, not just, is this the right place for me, but is it going to be easy for me to be here? Is it going to work for me to be here? If you're not cold natured, I don't want to hear you talking about going to Bowdoin College. You know, that's where my husband went. I don't want to, you know, that's one of the things to consider. So I don't know. I hope that helps. Hope that helps.
Yes, thank you.
Who else is a senior? Who else is a senior or a junior thinking about college? Really, Adeline? You guys are? What about you, Harris and Aiden? Well, Aiden's graduated already. Olivia, where are you thinking about going? Oh, can you not say? Is that an inappropriate question?
Oh, I can say, well, I really want to go to the West Coast, but like after listening to this, I do want to look at some HBCU colleges. Like after what you said, I think that really like helped me to open up more like with my options, but I do want to stay on the West Coast for the most part, like California or New York. Yeah.
Well, you know, all I can tell you is, you know, what I told my daughter, Sinclair. And she went to Madeira, which I know you guys know because you play them. She was very adamant about not going to a girls' school. And so Spelman was out for her. And you know, Maddie, like I said, there's certain things that you just know. That was one thing for her. She's like, no girls' school. So she automatically eliminated a bunch of things. But she did not want to go to an HBCU. She's like, I've not grown up around all Black people. I don't want to go to the South. I'm afraid of bugs and I don't want to do it. And then she said, Howard is just too big. That was the other thing. She didn't want to go to a really big school. And so take a look at it, you know, take a look at, you know, a university, take a look at a smaller school. You guys are in a really small, tight-knit school, right? What's it going to feel like to have 10,000 classmates? Have you guys thought about that? You know all your classmates, don't you? You know who's Irvin and Marshall. You know who lives in what dorm, you know? Imagine being on a college campus and half your classmates you've never even seen before. Is that something you want? Or is that exactly what you're looking for? And those are the questions that you have to ask yourself in deciding, what do I want to do? Apply to a school that you don't think you want to go to because it seems like a right fit. Like you want to do oceanography and they have that major, but you never thought about going to Hampton. Apply, see what happens. You might get a full ride. You never know, right? You never know. And that may make all the difference for you. Other stories? Olivia.
I was wondering, did you pledge to any sororities?
Oh, of course I did. Delta Sigma Theta, I did.
My mom's a
Cecily-
Delta.
Oh, Cecily Tyson is a Delta. Kamala Harris is an AK. The world has learned a lot about fraternities and sororities, particularly Black fraternities and sororities as a result of the election. But the sororities at historically Black colleges and universities did not start at historically Black colleges and universities. For the most part, with a few exceptions, they actually started at PWIs, which I abbreviate private white institutions or public white institutions, because the group of Black students there wanted a sense of community. They also started pretty much right around like in the early 1900s. And so it was like the women's suffrage movement, and there was a lot of social change going on, and the students wanted a connectivity. So that's how the fraternities and sororities formed. But you continue in the sororities after college. It's not like, pledging Tri Delta at Vanderbilt. Once you pledge and you're out of there, you're not really a part of it anymore. It's like a lifetime commitment. And that's one of the other things about historically Black colleges and institutions. You get these connections that continue for life. And that's what's going to happen to you with Mercersburg. You guys will be talking about Irvin and Marshall forever. And when your friends' kids come to Mercersburg and they were Marshall, and then their kid gets to be Irvin, you're going to be like, aha, because you guys know that does happen. Every now and then they mess up with the family and they put a Irvin kid with the Marshall family or something. It's like a lifetime that you have developed just by being in that small traditional community. I know you can't appreciate it now. And certainly when I left Spelman, I couldn't appreciate being in a small environment, but I do now. Who's going to a big school? Anybody?
I was for a bit, and then I was not after I got off the wait list at a smaller one.
Okay. And what do you think about that? Do you like the smaller environment better?
Well, at least with my experience. So I was originally going to go to UCLA, and I did take a class there over the summer, a linguistics class. And just it's a 40,000 kid school. Like, from the standpoint, if you're not aware of how big UCLA is, it's absolutely massive. It's ridiculous. And even though the class I took was a major specific class for juniors that they accidentally let me into, because that's a whole thing, there were still like 50 people in it. And the biggest school I'm from Montana, and the biggest school I'd been to was Mercersburg. I was part of a middle school graduating class of 9, if that talks about my educational experience, and jumping to a class with 50 people was a lot. And then now I'm a freshman at Dartmouth, but I guess the smaller, you don't think it matters until you sort of are in it, I guess. And that's the difficulty with all the COVID madness, is you were sort of mentioning that earlier, is the feel, being there or experiencing it in a more normal way. Sure, I've visited when it was normal, but I still don't have that normal class experience. So it's a little more difficult for me to weigh in, but at least from my sort of current perspective and position on the matter, smaller, at least on a personal level, works a lot better for me in just how I deal with academics.
I mean, it's probably one of the reasons you guys were all attracted to Mercersburg. Smaller, out of the way, not a lot of distraction of the city. Community is where you focus. You all wouldn't be there if you weren't attracted to that. So, I wouldn't be shocked if you decided not to go to NYU. On the other hand, maybe you're thirsting for the city, and Maddie, those are the things that I'm speaking to all you guys, but I know Maddie had this question. Those are the things you really want to think about. Where do I want to be? Like, what do I want my life to be like? Do I want to take Metro to get to school every day? Or do I want to live in a house that's 400 years old that, Dolly Madison lived in, or I don't know, right? Like, what is it that you want for yourself? How do you see yourself? And you have to wade through all the parental questions. Just like ignore them, take them off the emails. Don't talk to them. Don't tell them, just don't answer their questions. I was that parent that asked questions and it just confuses you. Just say, Mom, I'm still thinking about it. Like, have a standard discussion in your mind about what you're going to say when they ask, have you made a decision yet? Have you made a decision yet? And just take your time and be thoughtful about it. And I really mean this. And I'll tell you, I had 3 in college at the same time, and they all went 3 totally different routes. Military academy, Georgetown, got to be in the city. And then my son's a D1 athlete. So all he thinks about is what the gym looks like. 3 totally different priorities, but I was able to stay out of it so that they could prioritize and figure out where they wanted to be. And if you choose wrong, you can transfer. If you choose wrong, you can transfer. Repeat after me. If you choose wrong, it's not the end of the world. It's not. And that should also take a little bit of the pressure off of you as you start to make decisions. You might not choose the right school the first time. You just might not. I only have one that changed majors. No, actually 2 of mine changed majors now that I think about it. They chose the right school, but they chose different majors. So anyone else want to share? Oh, Jason's on. Jason Brashatsky, that's what I meant. There's a Jason Wright too. Anyone else want to share? What about you, Adelaide? Do you have family that went to Mercersburg? Is that a familiar name?
Yes, my sisters were in Maddie's class.
Oh, that's right. I knew that last name. Tell me their first names.
Ryan and Emma, twins.
The twins. Oh my God. How are they?
They're both good. They're both back at school now, which is.
Are you in college? Literally? You were a kid.
I will be.
You're headed to college next year?
Yes, ma'am.
You were their little sister. Oh my. Wow. That's so cool. That's cool. Have you enjoyed your stay there, or did you live in their shadow?
I really enjoyed it. I would have liked to have overlapped with them, but.
Oh, okay. Okay. Are you guys Irving?
No.
Okay, you're Marshall. Okay. Wow. So what do you think you want to do for college?
We'll just see. But I want to do like a poli-sci route with like something with like economics, maybe a little stats. I'll see how I like stats this spring. Yeah, and then the East Coast or Chicago, because I've only ever been to the East Coast in Chicago. So.
All right. But not with them. You're not going to head out with Ryan and Emma Claire. You're not going to go with them.
That would just, the odds aren't really there, but I like both the schools they go to.
Wow. Well, good. You guys have a lot of choices. Anyone else want to chat? Laura? I see Laura there.
I don't really know what I want to do. So it's kind of, I know I want to do something with the sciences, but I'm not sure what exactly. And I know something up north on the East Coast. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. And sometimes it's not just, what you know about. I mean, if you talk with your professors about the type of, studying you want to do, like, I want to be a research assistant, or, I'm really interested in, nuclear, they'll kind of know what schools you can look at. I mean, your professors can really help you to kind of zero in on where you should be looking if you don't know. Some people just want to go to a name school. I want to go to USC. Some of your classmates are like that, right? Or they want to go where their brothers and sisters went, or They just want to go back home wherever they're from. But if you're looking for a subject matter, your professors can really help you zero in on not only where you can go, but sometimes where the money is too. So, cool. Where are you from, Laura?
I'm from Falls Church, Virginia. It's like 15 minutes outside of DC.
I live in Haymarket.
Oh, wow.
I'm not far at all. Yeah. We're from Haymarket. Yeah. Harris, I didn't hear from you at all. You want to chat?
I'm a freshman, so I haven't really thought about it too much, but I kind of see my sister. She just went through the college process because she's a senior at Mercersburg. So yeah, I don't really know.
That's cool. Where are you from?
I'm from Easton, PA.
Oh, Eastern Pennsylvania?
Yeah, Easton, PA.
Oh, okay. Is that like Philly? Wait, what's that? Like Philly?
You know the Lehigh Valley?
Oh yeah. Used to do gymnastics up there, right? Yeah, I think, okay. I think I know where that is. Okay, not far. Not far at all.
Hi, by the way, she's talking to me.
That's
Not
my
the
son.
floor.
So you got to go away. You got to get out of Pennsylvania. You've been there twice now. Grew up there in high school. You got to go away. Good luck to you. And you know what? You don't really have to think about it right now. You really don't. It's if you're a freshman, just focus on what you like about Mercersburg. Maybe try to travel a little. Have you guys been able to take advantage of study abroad, or is that not happening at all anymore?
I don't know what that is, so I'm guessing I
The
haven't
little
done.
trips that you take during the breaks. I know students would go to, I know Maddie went to like El Salvador, and just during the spring breaks, I think there was a camping trip in China, and not doing that. No.
Oh yeah, my sister, she went to South Africa. She went on one.
Wow. Well, if that gets going again, traveling while you're in high school is really a great way to test your limit, and to see if you got what it takes to get out there, and just be on a bus, on a plane with your passport and your friends. And, it tests your mettle. Being at Mercersburg tests you, but they keep such a close eye on you guys, you don't have to worry about anything. But, for those of you who are a little timid about going far away, use Mercersburg to test it. Maybe go home with a classmate, go to a different environment over spring break or something with a classmate and test it. You think you want to go to California? Do a summer program out there. That's a great way to figure out what it is that you want before you have to make decisions. And Harris, you have plenty of time. Not so much you juniors and seniors. You don't have a lot of time. Well, I don't know if anyone else wanted to talk. I think everyone else is either a grown-up or, yeah. My son wants to say something.
Hi, friends. So I wanted to talk about specifically, so I actually came from a smaller school and ended up going to a very massive school. So I wanted to speak to that just so you guys kind of have an idea of what it's kind of like. My graduation class in high school was about 400, which I know is bigger than—
That's huge.
It's bigger than Mercersburg, but for most normal high schools, quote unquote, it's closer to 1,000, upwards of that, 2,000, something like that, I think, of our neighborhood schools. But then I went to University of Illinois and it was about 40,000, 50,000 plus students. I was in a very niche degree, and even during my graduation ceremony, I knew maybe one person out of the 100. And so it's a very different experience when you go to a school and you no longer know everyone around you, but it doesn't mean that you don't get to know everybody. It does get a little bit hard in classes if you're not open to, networking and talking to people like that. But it's really easy to find friend groups on campus if you just kind of make yourself very available. And that's my one thing for everybody going into college, is to really take this as an experience to learn about yourself, to learn about your life, because you graduate, as I do, and then you realize, oh, wait, I no longer am in school. Oh, I have to start paying bills. I need a job. I have to do this, that, and the other. And you realize that there's so many other things that you no longer have time, as much time as you may want, to figure out what you truly want to do for yourself, what will allow you to, keep going. So take college as a time to really focus on all that. work that stuff out, be open to whatever it is, because it's 4 years and it is probably one of the best times of your life. And you don't understand, you hear it a lot, but once you're actually in it, you'll understand it so much more, because it's more than just the excitement of being around friends or the partying or the late night study sessions. There's so many little moments that you get with your friends that are incomparable, and experiences I will always treasure with me. So enjoy it, make the most of your experience, because it ends and then
Then
the
you
real
go to
world
work.
starts. But yeah, so that's just a little bit from me.
Well, thanks for letting me share with you guys. I really appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of the sessions. If you have any questions about being an attorney, that's what I do. I don't even think I said what I do. I work for the Securities and Exchange Commission as an attorney. And so if you're interested in financial services, I went to Columbia Law School in New York. If you're interested in going to Columbia, you can find me. And I'd be happy to talk with you and put you in touch with younger people who, might be able to answer some of your questions more directly. But enjoy yourself and continue to take advantage of all these opportunities to just learn and grow.
Yeah, thank you so much on behalf of the school, the community, and everyone in this room. We really appreciate you sharing your story with us and answering our questions and offering advice to our students, many of whom are thinking about life beyond Mercersburg Academy for the first time, and some of whom are not thinking about it, but very much preparing for it. So we're very grateful for your time. We really do appreciate it. And yeah, thank you all.
Take care. Thanks. Thanks, everybody. I'm looking at the chats. Thanks. Bye-bye. Go do homework. Thanks, Danielle.
Sorry about that first question, Melody.
Hey, I told you, technology is either going to work or it's not. It was fine. I just, I use that as a way to just